Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of the Oreninc podcast series. This is episode number 27, and I'm joined by Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist. Mickey, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks once again, Kai.
Mickey, it's Labor Day, or the day after Labor Day, actually, and we're doing a rundown on the markets. We're going to take a look at the Oreninc Index. We're going to look at the U.S. markets, its economy, the U.S. dollar, I'm assuming we're going to discuss for a second as well. And we're going to round off things with our number of the week again today.
Righto.
First of all, I'd like to thank our sponsors who are actually making Oreninc possible and making this podcast possible. And they're Nexus Gold, listed on the TSX Venture under the ticker NXS. New Legacy Gold under the ticker NUG, and Prospero Silver PSL. Go check them out. We're thankful for their support here. Oreninc Index, actually. It's been really interesting. The last time we spoke, it's been 3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. Things have been looking really grim. We've been looking at very, very low double-digit numbers, so the index score of 13 or 15 points respectively. And things have picked up since, quite a bit actually. And the week after we had our lowest score, the 13.29, the index actually jumped by 336%. And that was mostly triggered, or mainly triggered, by the activities seen in Osisko mining. They've raised $73 million, mostly in or almost completely in flow-through. But we've seen some broker participation there. The big dollar amount obviously triggered an increase or jump in the index number. And we've been benefiting sort of from that as well, since it seems like the market has been slightly rejuvenated over the last couple of weeks, despite it not being Labor Day yet. And August 27th, just last week, we've seen an index score of 44, which is still great. This week, we've seen an index score slightly lower at 38. So it's downtrending just a little bit. But one thing, and a lot of people were still on holidays last week, we haven't seen any broker activity, despite actually a total or 21-week high in the total dollars raised, skyrocketing to $114 million, actually, Canadian. And the average offer size also doubled to $4.9 million, which was a 21-week high. Responsible for that were actually three bigger financings. There were actually all three double-digit financings. So Red Eagle Mining is doing a highly dilutive financing, raising $50 million by issuing 250 million shares at 20 cents, backstopped by a local group. That is another very dilutive financing by Red Eagle Mining. I don't want to be a retail shareholder in that one. Just brutal and not very favorable, and something I'd stay away from at this time. Other company as well, Gold Standard Ventures, is doing more of a strategic financing actually with Gold Corp and Oceana Gold. Both of them are committing and actually increasing their stake in that Nevada Explorer. So that is heating up there as well, same as we're seeing Nevada activity heating up. And also Great Bear Resources used the announcement of great results to raise $10 million Canadian from investors, and trying to keep that momentum. So exciting times. We've seen some discoveries over the last couple of weeks that have been exciting. Some of them been really disappointing. Seems like a lot of people are just mining the market, not mining for gold or anything else, and that is frustrating to see. Mickey, let's talk about the U.S. markets and the economy. I've ranted on. I've almost put too many personal comments already in my index section on this part. Let's talk about the U.S. markets, the economy in general, and the U.S. dollar.
Yeah, before we do that, I want to, in regards to financing, I want to say I've been seeing a couple of really good private deals lately. So not in the public venue, but things kind of on the dark side, if you will. Some very interesting private deals that will go public at some point. So my conclusion is that there's still plenty of money out there looking for good projects. Let's segue now into the U.S. markets and the economy. A really great month for all U.S. markets. Record highs set Friday, end of month, across the board in the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, the Russell 2000. The only market that did not set a all-time high would be the Dow, and it's returned something on the order of 5% on the year, so we can't really argue with that. Despite this, and a very strong U.S. economy, not so much ROW, rest of world, especially the Eurozone, Canada, the emerging market countries, which include China, Turkey. It's all been about a very strong U.S. dollar, which has been negative for the metals sector, although that really started to turn a bit. Last week, we hit that very low gold price of 1173 in mid-August, and gold prices recovered quite nicely. But that had to do with the dollar is weaker. So I guess as Trump continues to make America great again, if you buy into that philosophy, the people that oppose him aren't doing so well. And I would include Trudeau as he continues to try to tweak the trade tariff talk. Canada is not doing very well. The country that is doing worse than most would be Turkey, with Erdogan, who came in and denounced the U.S. dollar on Sunday. It drove the lira down lira is down 40% in the last month or so. The Russian ruble recently at a 2-year low. So America seems to be flexing its economic muscles right now. And in that regard, I would ask, I know there's difficulties in the Eurozone with Turkey and Italy and Greece and their currencies and politics over there. What's the take in Germany? How's Germany doing right now, Kai?
We're actually doing really well, but I was wondering the same thing actually, because the last couple of weeks we haven't heard much about trade wars or what's going on in the relations between Europe, or especially Germany and Turkey. Merkel might have been on vacation or something, but it's been really quiet on the political side of things. Like domestically, we've got some massive issues looming. I'm not sure if it's made the news in North America, but in Chemnitz, which is in eastern Germany, there have been massive protests from the right wings, or ultra right wings, you could call them, borderline Nazis. But then there's been counter protests, so it's very, like, the political scene domestically is really active right now, but internationally I haven't heard too much the last couple of weeks, and I've been home, so.
The only thing I've heard lately is the Eurozone has come to the United States and offered concessions on importation of U.S. beef. So, so those trade talks continue to go on, I'm sure, behind the scenes. But really, it really has been, especially in the U.S. lately, after the deal was done with Mexico that excluded Canada. Threatens the existence of NAFTA if Canada doesn't come on board with this. But that really has been the trade talk in the U.S. or in North America is what's Canada going to do? And talks are set to begin again tomorrow on that.
Yeah, it seems like the U.S. and China are coming together as well on certain topics. So things have... tensions have ceased there a little bit, I think, from what I've seen lately. So we'll see. And also the interesting part for Europe, especially Germany, is of course the automotive industry and what Trump is doing there, or the U.S. is doing there in general. Because apparently, if there are any tariffs or anything implemented, it might be $7 billion a year hit on our economy, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, that's true. And the fly in the ointment and all that is a significant number of BMWs and Mercedes are now made in the U.S. Exactly. So it's a bit of a convoluted situation, to say the least.
Yeah, and especially in the economic weak South, like states of Alabama, I think is the largest BMW and Mercedes factories. So that'll hit those economies very, very hard. So we'll see.
Yep.
We always wrap up our sessions with our number of the week. Mickey, what you got for us this week?
Well, I'm going to violate the rules, and I have 2 numbers this week. My first number is 17.5, and my second number is 12.4. And those numbers are the year to date percentage returns of the NASDAQ, and which is mainly tech stocks in the US, and the Russell 2000, which is small business. So US small business, tech, up and down, employment low, US economy is really booming at this stage.
Wow, that's impressive. So why would you invest in junior mining, to be honest? That's what we're fighting with. Like, why would the average Joe invest in junior mining at this point if he can score 17% average return without even doing any stock picking?
Because he has money to burn, and he takes his gambling money, the windfall profits he's made in major US markets, and he goes into riskier things. And really, if you look at the history of the Vancouver Stock Exchange and its successor, the Toronto Venture Exchange, when the US economy booms like that, it's a bit like the dog wagging its tail, and on the tail of that is venture capital markets.
True, but doesn't like an event have to happen first that scares the investor away from the NASDAQ just a little bit to seek diversification and higher risk, higher reward investments?
I really don't think so, because when people are making lots of money, they need money management. They need to generate some tax losses, potential tax losses,
Oh, we've been great for that, yes.
and so then they tend to go into much riskier markets. So I think I would take the other side of that argument.
Interesting. Okay. Since you got two numbers, I got two numbers as well. And as always, I'm venturing away a little bit from our general topics of discussion.
Fantasy football.
Close.
Okay.
Very close. So we got 2 days till kickoff of the NFL football season. So that's number one. And my second number is actually 12 days. And 12 days we'll be going to watch the Denver Broncos beat the Oakland Raiders in Denver.
You're running smack already. I like that.
Oh, I have to. I'm excited.
Yeah.
They traded away their best player. They better watch out
They
what's
did.
coming their way.
Yes,
So,
they did.
and since you brought up fantasy, let's see if it works. But I'd love to start a mining fantasy football league and see if we can do that. I'm going to start a shout out on LinkedIn and see who responds and see if we can have a draft within the next 48 hours.
That sounds good, Kai.
Awesome. Mickey, where can people learn more about what you do, and where can they subscribe?
MercenaryGeologist.com. I run a free subscription service. Go to the website. If you want my stock picks, you have to be a free email subscriber. Below my mugshot, click on the link, give us a name and an email address. You can fake your name, but you got to give us a real email address, and then you'll get my stock picks. We're also very active on Twitter with 53,000 Twitter followers at Mercenary Geo.
Wow, that's impressive. Mickey, thanks for your time, and I'll see you in 12 days the latest.
Look forward to it, Kai. Thank you very much.